Welcome back. Caddy Corner. Oh, man. What episode is this? 27.
Oh, I got it. Yeah, 27. I wrote it down today.
There you go. Good job, Caleb. I'm Austin. He's Caleb, as I jumped the gun on that. But whatever. At least we did it this time.
Yeah, we did it.
Yes. Time management is this week's episode.
Indeed.
And that kind of thing. Mine is written as structuring your time. Mine has a lot to do with... want to restart?
Do you hear that?
Hear what?
It's like an echo.
Hello. Not really.
I can't hear it anymore since I just turned that up. But
I think that I was just quiet and you were loud. You might have been able to hear me and your mic.
Maybe.
Let's just take it from the top.
Take it from the top.
Take it from the top. Okay. Big dramatic pause. 27 is the right episode, right?
27.
Okay.
I got it written down today.
Cool. Good job. Welcome back, Caddy Corner, episode 27. I'm Austin.
I'm Caleb.
And we're back with a brand new episode. Time management, structuring your time.
Indeed.
Something that we know everything about.
We know so much about this. It's not even funny.
It's not even funny.
Like, I don't even have to look at my notes because I just know so much about this.
I just scrambled to get my notes before the podcast because there's no way I could do this show without it. So, first off, a little bit of housekeeping. Number one, like the video and rate the podcast. Audio viewers popping off as always.
Y'all are killing it.
Y'all are killing it. On our road to 1,000 downloads, which we are definitely going to hit, I think, mathematically right now.
Yeah, if we stay on the track that we're on right now, we're going to get it.
For sure. So, shooting for that. Share the show around. You already know the drill. And do all the stuff on YouTube, too. Shout out to you guys. Second of all, and I don't know if you remember or not, we're giving away a digital planner for this episode.
How could I forget?
How could you forget? I don't know. I just didn't know. But
yeah, I remember.
It's a first of its kind. Caddy
Corner giveaway. First giveaway.
Yes.
How crazy is that?
It is crazy. It's crazy to think
getting
that
surreal now.
It's getting surreal now. So this episode is all about time management. If I remember to, in post for the video, there's a picture of the digital planner on the screen right now in this area. Now I have to remember because otherwise I just look crazy.
Yeah, now you look real
now I have
weird.
to remember. So the link for that is probably going to be on the link tree, if not in the description. I'm planning on just putting a Google Drive access thing where you can just go and download it straight. Little PDF action. You can open it on your computer, open it on your iPad, which is what we would do. And that's it. Pretty simple stuff. So Every single person that listens to this podcast will now know where you can get your free digital planner that we designed that we think is pretty dope. So without further ado. Oh, also I want to say the podcast looked a little bit bad on the last week's episode because of the new camera setup. We fixed it. I hope that you guys like it, again, better now.
Yeah.
I think it's dramatically better than last week, and I think it might be better than the regular, what we had been doing prior. So,
yeah.
Anyway, without further ado, time management. So,
time management.
I don't know how we want to get this started. We've been doing this thing where we don't talk about what we're going to, like different categories of things we're going to talk about, so we just kind of have notes.
Yeah.
So, if you just want to take it away from wherever you want to start,
okay,
just hit it.
So, first here on my notes, I have a little 3-section action in my time management and scheduling note document over here. And very first, I have the pros of time management, of course, because why would they listen to anything that we have to say about time management if they don't know why it's good for them?
That's true.
So I'm going to tell you why it's good for you. It makes you more productive.
100%.
And that is statistically a fact.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. It makes me more productive. It makes you more productive. It makes my mom more productive. It makes everybody more productive whenever they have a schedule and time management strategies that they like to pursue. You get more done because you know what you're doing. You know what you have planned. You know what you got to do. You know when you got to get it done. So then you do it faster, and you're more productive.
I think strategies is a very good word that you use for that because it's not just magic. There's thought that goes into it.
Oh yeah,
so
you have to.
Strategies is a good way to word that.
Yeah, we're gonna cover that a little bit later
for sure.
It makes you less stressed.
Definitely.
100%. Whenever you are more productive, it's going to make you feel better, for one. Whenever you don't have to worry about when something is due, if it's an assignment or if it's a project that you're working on for your career or whatever it is, whenever you know your due dates and stuff, that is going to make you much less stressed. It'll it keeps you sharp between the ears. It just makes you feel good whenever you know what's going on at a specific time, at a specific day. Man, that was a hard word to say right then.
It is hard on a riff. Listen, we're not professionals all the time, guys. It happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
Everybody has those words that you can't say.
And mine has always been that word.
Really?
Yeah. I'm going to steer clear of that one from now on, I think. But yeah, it makes you less stressed.
For sure.
Next year, gosh, my brain.
Specific threw you off.
Yeah, it really did. Sorry about that. I'm going to take the time to apologize to everyone for not saying specific the right way. And I'm also going to apologize to the word specific. I will use you. I promise. Carry on. You can reach your goals faster whenever you use time management skills.
100%.
And the reason why I say that is because you can check off your daily goals to reach your big goals. So, as you saw on our planner that we designed, there is a little spot on there for your daily goals. And so you can write those down if it's just one a day, if it's 2 a day. If you want to write 10 goals, go ahead. You do whatever you want.
Get some small font, though.
Yeah.
It's not a huge box.
Yeah, but it's your daily goal. And whenever you check off those daily goals, then next thing you know, you're at your big goal. And you just reached it, and you're not even thinking about how long it took because you were checking off goals the whole time. That's very important.
It is very important.
And then, lastly but not leastly, I have it will keep your cost down. And I'm going to speak from my experience in my job here. So, as many of you are aware, some of you may not be if it's your first time, but I am a construction worker. And so, whenever we are about to start a job, we have to have time management skills because we have a certain amount of time that we have to complete said job so we can get paid. So the longer you work on a job, the less you're going to get paid because the more you have to pay your employees hourly. So making sure that you are aware of the time spent and the materials spent and all this stuff, strategizing that way, it'll keep your costs down for business.
It'll keep your costs down for everything.
Yeah, really everything.
Understanding where you are at certain times and your routine and stuff like that can greatly impact how much money you spend on things.
100%.
Like if you for me, I don't eat out very much for multitudes of reasons, but obviously that cuts costs a ton. And the reason why is because I'm very deliberate. Like if I have to eat out, it's generally because I miscalculated how long something was going to take or something like that.
Yeah.
So, but you live and you learn. So
definitely
keep your costs down.
Definitely.
Time management does definitely help with that, for sure.
Those are all the pros that I have for time management.
But
there are many more, but those are the ones I have written down that I'm going to cover today.
This is a subject we can go on for hours and hours and hours, but I know that you guys don't want to hear it for hours and hours and hours. We're just here to teach you how to do the thing.
Yep.
Do you have a how-to section?
I have a tips and tricks section.
Even better. Well, same difference. Let's do that because my second kind of point that I section that I have is better after that. So let's do the how-tos / tips and tricks, and I can start if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, cool. So I have my how-to section for how do you structure and manage your time.
Wait, I think I have a section that would go better even before this too.
Okay, go ahead then. Go.
Okay, so my next section here is called "Why Is It Important?"
Oh yeah, good idea.
I think that makes more sense
for sure.
After the pros and then before the tips. Everything runs on a schedule.
Everything.
Literally everything. Whenever you think about it, every single thing is scheduled out. Because if nothing was scheduled, then nothing would ever get done. And so that's something that you have to think about. No matter what you do or where you are or what you're doing, you have to have a schedule because schedules are the basis for all things getting done.
Totally.
So that's very important to understand. Just understanding that everything runs on a schedule. So might as well start scheduling now.
Yeah.
Before it's too late and it's too hard to start getting the habit of scheduling.
I think that is something that's super important because I used to think that you didn't really need to keep a schedule, or I would just kind of go through the day but you're so much more efficient whenever you have some kind of structure to what you do every single day.
Oh yeah, totally.
And you notice that quickly. So
yeah.
Anyways,
I think that there's a lot of people who say that, oh, I'm just going through the motions, I'm just living life as it comes and stuff. And I guarantee you that's 100% true, and I guarantee you that's what they're doing. But I think that they choose to live like that because they haven't found like a scheduling method
100%.
that works best for them.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then next on why it's important is you have to have a schedule to create a workflow. So, kind of like we were just saying, you have to have a schedule to create a routine, and routines are so crucial.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, whenever you do the same thing at the same times and you continue to do that, then you train your brain to understand that this is the time that I need to have this amount of brain power, or I need to be thinking about this. And then you have other times where you're like, okay, now I have to be thinking about this. And then you have other times scheduled in your day where you can be like, okay, now I don't have to think about anything, and like it's time to give my brain some rest or whatever. And so creating a routine like that works best for you, and it's so much easier. For one, whenever you're in school, it's super easy to create a routine whenever you're in school. Especially high school.
Yeah.
High school kids, listen up, because
K through 12.
Yeah.
Everybody. Yeah.
Your routine is you go to school 5 days a week, and you go to a class at the same time
every day,
every single day,
the same amount of time for the most part. There's
Yeah.
variation, but
yeah. So being able to understand that like factor of routine and how that is helping you is only gonna help you more in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
And even whenever you're in college, you still have class most of the time at the same times
roughly
each week.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the time your weeks are laid out the same.
Yeah.
And so that kind of routine, whether it's your work to school routine or it's your school to free time routine or whatever your situation is, just being able to realize that like routines are important, and it's important to train your brain to know what kind of things it should be thinking about at certain points in time.
Yeah, I agree with that totally.
Just because that is when you're going to be the most productive, is whenever your brain is on the same page as you.
Yeah, where you need
personally.
to actually be.
So,
yeah, for sure.
I think that's super important. Workflow is super important wherever it's your job, or if it's a hobby, or if it's school or whatever. Your workflow has to be consistent, because your brain is just a tool, basically, and you have to train the tool to be able to do what you want it to do. And so being able to create a workflow that works best for you, that is enjoyable for you, is super important, because then like doing the work and getting the stuff done is gonna only bring pleasure to yourself and to your brain, and it's only gonna stimulate you and not feel like, why am I doing this? Like, this sucks, you know?
It becomes not work.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that we'll talk about too in my how-to section. I go into that a good bit, but something that you said that I think is interesting, and I just kind of thought of this, is like we go through elementary school, preschool, middle school, high school, whatever, and like we're put into routines.
Yeah.
On like by force.
Yeah.
You know? And those are formative years. A lot like the way that your brain kind of works and develops, for better or for worse, is then. And so the routine is comforting for you.
Yeah, definitely.
And a lot of people can think that maybe a routine is a negative thing. I don't know if that's a popular opinion or not, or what, but like your brain is comfortable with that because you spent, at least in the U.S., 12 years in a system that is a routine.
Yeah.
So, interesting.
Yeah, and I think that happens for a reason. I think that
definitely. Yeah,
I mean, school is scheduled like that for a reason,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's the exact reason why.
Yeah.
Like you said, it helps create a routine
For sure.
and it makes you feel comfortable in that.
Definitely.
Want
Want to go into how-tos?
Oh, I got one more thing.
One more
here.
thing? Go ahead.
Yeah, and then it'll make sure that you're doing the right thing at the right time.
Yeah, for
So, creating a schedule, whenever you write down things that have to be done, write down a date that it needs to be done, obviously, so then you know that this needs to be done by this time, so on and so forth.
Right.
That's pretty simple, straightforward type situation there.
Definitely.
Not quite as your
depth.
brain can't make up things like how I'm gonna cut that out. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. That was crazy. Yeah, pretty simple stuff. Yeah, let's go into tips and tricks.
How-tos, tips, and tricks. So it is a 4-step process here, very simplified, and we can go straight into it. So my number one, like where you start whenever you want to build your routine or structure your time or whatever, is you have to pick your cornerstones that you want to build around.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, I guess, like we can go into my routine if you want. Like my routine is I have the podcast, like my cornerstones are the podcast, school, the gym, and probably work, but not really, but sort of. But definitely the podcast, the gym, and school. Those are the 3 cornerstones that I built my routine around. And so there is like exponential amounts of time carved into my week that are for those 3 things that I want to actively be getting better at or putting a lot of focus into.
Yeah.
And so what that does is it eliminates a lot of time for little dumb things. I can't think of any great examples off the top of my head, but like little stupid things that you just kind of will get yourself caught up in, like I guess excessive social media and stuff like that.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
So it cuts that out of your schedule indirectly because you're doing actual things every day.
Yeah.
So, but really, like what a cornerstone can be, if you want to think about it in your kind of terminology, is like a goal is an easy way to think about it. Like if you want to do well in school, then that takes this amount of time for you. So like that is allocated there. If you want to drop 30 pounds, whatever, if you want to make a podcast and get people to listen to it, shout out to you guys. Like, it just requires time and effort and stuff.
Y'all are killing it.
So, that's my step 1. You just got to figure out your goals, pick your cornerstones, figure out what those are. Step 1.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. And then step 2 is to, after you kind of get those goals oriented and kind of figured out, is like structure them and schedule them throughout the week. So for school, for example, in college, you have choice over when your classes are, but not really, because they're offered at certain times, and if you want to take them, then it is what it is.
Yeah.
So factor that into your routine. Like if, let's say that you are somebody that likes to lift from 11 to 12, but there's a class from 11 to 12, then one of those things has got to take priority, for example, right?
Yeah.
So you have to either move the lift to later in the day or before, or you have to be like, all right, I can just take that class some other time, and we're going to keep my lifting schedule the way that it is. So obviously, if you could give every single one of your cornerstones or your goals the full amount of time, like in your entire week, obviously that would be ideal, but that's just not how it is. So you have to be able to delegate the time efficiently and effectively to where you're still pushing forward in all of your goals and all of your pursuits, but none of them are just being like left behind.
100%.
So that's an important thing. And that just comes down to scheduling.
Yeah.
So, and then the next part of it is come up with your daily, weekly routine accordingly to your goals and your things. So on top of the cornerstones and goals that you also have daily things that you have to do, like eating food is a good one that you need to think about. Yeah. If you don't do that, you die, which
Indeed.
is not what you want to do, probably on purpose at least. So there are things that there are things that you kind of have to do every single day or every week, or random events that will kind of pop up. And so you have to build your weekly schedule or your daily schedule or whatever around those things. Yeah. And it kind of is what it is. Some of them you can get around, some of them you can't. And so you have to just build your schedule around that. And that's important to think about too.
Yeah, definitely.
And then the last one that I have is, after you've done your routine for a little bit, adjust it according to your goals and happiness. So if you've been really strict to your routine and you've done a really good job at, whatever, but you're miserable, then who cares? It doesn't matter that you're pushing towards your goals. You hate your life. So who cares? But then also your goals can change, like if my goal with the podcast, instead of getting more followers, is to figure out how to make it look better, then that's where my goal shifts so you just like make sure that you're focused, acknowledge your change of focus, and either pursue it more or try and get back to where you were before. So just always adjust and always adapt whenever things, because like you do something every single day for a month, the way that you do it's going to change a little bit. So just make sure that that's the right change. Yeah, definitely. That's pretty much it.
And I think another thing like with that too is you have to leave room for things that might just pop up like week to week.
100%.
So if that's like you leave a couple hours during your day just for like emergency use, I guess you could say, that's really important, just so like if something does come up, it doesn't throw everything off and like stress you out even more because, like, now I can't go to the gym because, like, I'm stuck at home doing this or whatever. And usually scheduling can, like, solve that because most of the time what it is it's like, oh, I forgot I have an assignment due at 11:59 tonight. Now I can't go to the gym.
Right.
It's like, if you just would have
done your stuff, yeah.
Then, like, we wouldn't be running into this problem. But that's not what I'm referring to right now.
Yeah.
I'm referring to, like, actual emergencies. I don't really have any good examples of what, like, one of those might be.
I understand.
But whatever
For sure.
it could be, just leave room in your daily schedule for things like that.
I think about that as, like, I heard this quote, and I don't remember who it's from, but he's like a big author guy. But he says, be flexible, not rigid, because rigidity can break.
Yeah.
And so that's like that example. Like, leave flexibility in your schedule. You don't have to hold yourself to a super rigid every single day schedule thing that you have to do. And the way that I like to think about it even is just if you have, like, let's say instead of saying I want to go to the gym every day, say in the 7-day week, I want to go to the gym 5 times or 4 times.
Right.
That is a lot more maintainable, and it seems a lot, maintainable, and it also seems a lot less, like, intimidating and scary.
100%.
Because then instead of at day 1 of the week, you have 7 days to still go to the gym, or you have to go 4 times in the next 6 days. That's easier than saying I'm going to go to the gym every single day. So be flexible, not rigid. But then the last kind of general point that I really want to make with this is, like, everything that you do in a well-structured and a well-oiled routine should be done with purpose. Everything should be understood where you're getting the value out of it. So, for whatever that is for you, just understand, like, don't do things just because it is what you do. Like, maybe that's something that you need to, like, address and be like, hey, this is either taking time away or it's adding, and what is it doing for me? Like, a little bit of self-discovery there. But the kind of point is, if you really refine your routine and schedule and structure and stuff like that, you can just become a productivity machine. You just pump out whatever it is that you're trying to do and accomplish your goals. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll go ahead and start on my tips and tricks now. So, tip number 1 is set reminders for all of your tasks. I think that's super important. I know we've already talked about this a ton already, but instead of just setting reminders for tasks that you think are worthy of setting, set a reminder for everything that you have to get done. And you don't have to use anything fancy to set reminders. You have a reminder app on your phone.
You have the Caddy Corner digital planner.
You have the Caddy Corner digital planner if you're listening to this episode. You have Apple Notes. You have pencil and paper. Whatever it is, just to get the hand and mind compromisation going, that'll help you stay on track just that much more. And on to my next point, use a planner.
Yeah.
Use the daily planner that we are offering to you guys. It is a great tool to have. It is a great tool to use. If you don't want to use that for whatever reason, even though Austin worked for hours and hours,
days,
making this planner for you guys, if you don't want to use that, they have plenty of planners. I buy planners, pencil and paper. I like writing stuff down in a planner, pencil and paper. They also make planners on digitally if you want to take that route. They have all these different things. If you wanted to make your own digital planner or paper planner, whatever, just something. Planners are so good to just plan more than you ever think you would need.
Yeah, for
just
sure.
so that you know everything that has to get done.
And another thing too is just find the one that works the best for you.
Yes.
That is the ultimate key, because you can have, a paper and pencil planner like how you use, but if you'll never write in it, then what's the point?
Right.
So just find whatever it is that works best for you.
Yeah.
Make it fun, I guess.
Definitely. And another point that I'm going to revert back to that I mentioned earlier is give your task a time limit. Make sure you give yourself not only the right amount of time that it takes to do whatever task you're trying to get done, but also give your task a time that it has to be done, so that you know that this needs to be done at this time, and if I don't have it done at this time, then, like, I'm going to be in trouble, basically. So just giving your task a time that it needs to be done, and the amount of time that you're going to give yourself to do it has to be reasonable for you, obviously, but it also needs to coincide with the due date or whatever.
For sure. I also think like an important thing to think about with that too is the first couple times that you give yourself a due date for one of your goals that you're trying to reach, you're probably going to give yourself either not enough time or way too much time.
Yeah.
Like the way that you get to that point is by trying to do things on your own, like self-motivated goals, and trying and either failing at the time management aspect of it or succeeding at it.
Yeah.
So like nobody has the answer for you as to how long like nobody probably has any idea or frame of reference of how long it takes for us to make a podcast, but we do. And so like that's where, so just keep that kind of thing in mind because it varies between person.
Yeah.
There's no answers online basically.
Yeah, definitely. My last kind of point here is to block out distractions. I think that is very huge, especially for people who are our age. I think distractions are very prominent, especially in social media.
Definitely.
I think social media is one of the best things that have ever been given to us, and it is also one of the worst. I think that it is very bad for distracting people, and it really is easy to get caught up scrolling through TikTok for hours and hours and hours whenever you have stuff that has to get done. And so, and not that you have to get rid of social media. That's not what I'm saying by any means, because if you gave up social media, you wouldn't be listening to my voice right now.
Facts. So please keep social media.
Yeah, please keep social media because it keeps me a job.
Facts.
But just make a time for that, and make sure you limit that time, because it not only is it unhealthy for you to stay on your phone or in front of the screen for that long anyway, it also it takes a toll on your brain, which is something that we talked about prior. If you want to listen to that, just go back a couple episodes. We talked about it a ton. I don't remember what the episode was called.
Yes, 20-something.
Is it? Yeah, is it number 2? Starts with a number 2.
It's a long one.
Yeah, I think it's like an hour and a half or something like that.
Yeah.
But if you want to go back and listen to that, but block out distractions, especially social media, and if it's a bad relationship, get out of it.
For sure.
We talked about that too.
Yeah.
But
it's so important. Like it's crazy. Like a lot of, and we've done enough podcasts now to where a lot of them interconnect.
Yeah.
So, but those are all really good points. That was everything you had for that, right?
Yeah, that's
okay,
all
cool.
I got.
So I have some theories that you just need to kind of keep in your brain whenever you're coming up with your structure and your routine and stuff like that. So you have this first kind of idea, and I wrote this, so you can kind of take it for how it is, and I'll try to explain as best I can. But you have your wants, you have your needs, and you have the status quo. So allow me to elaborate here. Like the status quo it varies between people, and that's your routine basically. And so your wants that you have factored into that routine or not maybe, those are the things that you kind of added in that don't directly help you going along with your goals. So that doesn't mean that you have to get rid of those things, but it just means that you need to be conscious of those. That would be like your hour of TikTok a day.
Yeah.
But you also want to, I don't know, you also want to go to the gym and do that consistently. Well, do those things go together? Not really, but they still kind of exist in the same place. Whereas needs would be like carving out the time to go to the gym.
Yeah.
And so it's the balance of those things that allow you to do everything. You talked about it. It's like, don't cut out social media. That's not what we're saying, because that's not the answer. It's not realistic, right? But understand that your wants in your routine don't always correspond or benefit or anything to your needs.
Yeah, definitely.
It's very important to realize that.
Yeah, 100%.
And that, like I said, doesn't mean that you can't watch TikTok for an hour a day. You just have to understand that if you want to watch TikTok for an hour a day and also go and be consistent in the gym, then you have to make time for both of those things.
Yeah.
And so that's just very important to realize that. And then kind of my number 2 theory is you have to understand your daily musts. So like everybody is different basically, and nobody can tell you how to make your routine. If you need an hour and a half in the gym to feel like you did something, then you're going to have to carve out an hour and a half to go to the gym to, make you feel like you did something.
Yeah.
Everybody's not like that or whatever. And so being able to adjust your schedule to whatever it is that you want to do, which is why I think that making a schedule kind of solo is really important, but you just have to make it built off of you, not built off of what other people are doing. Being on somebody else's schedule is the worst thing ever.
Yeah, that's
huge.
huge.
Yeah, it's so you just got to make it, tailor your schedule to you. It's your schedule for a reason. And then this kind of next point here is everything's done with a purpose. We talked about that a little bit, but you just have to be very intentional with what you do and understanding the pros of that thing, the negatives of that thing, and there are pros and cons to everything. If you go to the gym every single day, your body's going to be worn down, and you're not going to have as much time to recover. So you have to factor that in. right? Going to the gym is good for you, but it can also break you down and beat you up. So, like, do it with purpose, basically.
Yeah.
Which is simple, right? And then hold yourself accountable.
100%.
Because nobody else is going to. Nobody else is genuinely going to hold you accountable to.
Not whenever it comes to your personal schedule.
Exactly.
And it would be impossible, and not only impossible for them to understand why you need however much time to do whatever you have to do, but also like that might not be important to them.
Exactly.
So if you don't get your hour and a half in the gym, like maybe you want somebody to hold you accountable, but they don't care about, they're like 45 minutes in the gym is okay. And then if you only go to the gym for 45 minutes and you feel like, well, man, I didn't even get a good pump in, and they're like, nah, you were good.
Yeah.
Like that's where
it's a conflict of interest, which is exactly where building your schedule comes in.
Yep.
But I also just think too, if somebody else has to hold you accountable to your goal, then who is really in charge? Like, who are you doing the goals for? What are you doing it for?
Yeah.
And if you're not, and it's hard to kind of get to this point where you're just doing stuff for yourself, but being self-motivated is super important in that way. Like, you have to want to go to the gym yourself. If that is one of the goals that you have to want to do a podcast and commit however many hours a week we work on this podcast. Like, we hold ourselves accountable to that. Nobody else is doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, a little bit of the audience, but like not really, you know? So
Right.
Anyway, you have to hold yourself accountable because, and obviously there's no absolutes. Like, you have a support system. Everybody does.
Definitely.
But at the end of the day, you're the one that's in control. You're the one that's in control. So you have to hold yourself accountable to your routine. And that's pretty much it.
That's all I have too. Yeah, that's all I have too.
So cool. Thanks so much, guys. To this episode. Listening to this episode 27, which is nuts. We say that every single episode. That's just crazy. We're almost 30 deep. on this episode, guys.
Yeah.
That's insane. Yeah. Speaking of episode 30, it's going to be the Q&A. It's going to be the Q&A that we've been promising for so long. The Google form. Is that what it's called? It's on the link tree regardless. It's named appropriately. So just click it. It's the top link. Also, the digital planner will be given away on the link tree too. Unless something changes, and if something changes, then I'll post something somewhere. You guys will know about it. But we're giving it away. Download it if you've listened to the podcast. Throw it up on your IG story if you actually use it. And also, since if this giveaway does well, and stuff like that, give us some feedback. We'd be happy to do more. We'd be happy to do more. This is an extremely taxing process that nobody can ever do.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
If you guys have recommendations, or maybe you want a different color or something like that, just let me know and we can think about it. So regardless, digital planner is in the description or the link tree or something. I don't have it fully figured out yet, but you guys will know about it. So outside of that, I think that's everything. I think I covered all of the promotion and stuff like that, right? Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for listening to 27 episodes of Caddy Corner, because I know every single one of you had listened to every episode. So shout out to you guys.
Yeah, y'all are killing it.
We're back every single Friday. Help us get to 1,000 downloads on the audio. YouTube viewers, step it up a little bit. I have no problem saying that because that's what I make every single week. So with that being said, I'm Austin. He's Caleb. We are back every single week on Friday with this episode, and every single Wednesday on After Hours, which is our best stuff. So if you're not listening to that, what are you actually doing? And that's all I got. So see you guys next week. Peace.